Vale, hola a todos. I've got loads of A-level gapful questions in front of me from sort of the year 12 content and the year 13 content. In this video, I'm going to pick some at random to do for you guys and show you how I would attempt these questions. So, in total, there were 139, so I've put them into a random number generator. I'm going to pick one at random and do the question and see how many we end up doing. So, 53, so that's going to be in this from the first section. 53 is towards the bottom. 55, 54, 53, perfect. And they're both on the same page there. Okay, let me have a go at this question now. So, first looking at the list of words, I'm going to type it up some of the translations. So, proclamado, proclaimed. So this is your past participle, PP for past participle. Incluir is to include, the infinitive. Hiciera is your subjunctive, your imperfect subjunctive. Either sort of I did or made, or he or she did or made as well. I'm going to write in there IMP-SUBJ to tell myself it's the imperfect subjunctive. Visitas, is you visit in the present tense. Good. Eliminar, to eliminate. We've seen two infinitives so far, eliminar and incluir. I'm going to highlight them. In the exam, I'll do the same thing, highlight in different colors the different sort of grammar items. So incluir there and eliminar. Good. Okay, esta, with the accent on the A, is saying he or she is, pretty much, esta. Posar is not a word I've seen before. Pisar is like to tread on. Posar, I actually don't know what this one means. I don't think it's in your A-level sort of vocab list. I don't recognize that word. To something, it's an infinitive. Reconocida is well known, either as an adjective, pretty much as an adjective actually. It wouldn't be a past participle because past participles always end in O. So this is just an adjective for well known. S, similar to esta, is it is. Interesting, we've got again a link here between S and esta. We're going to have a gap somewhere where it's going to be one of those two. Sitio is the word place and it's a masculine noun. Lugares is the plural of that, places. Again, similar words, interesting. Visitante, so this topic is maybe about visiting some sort of monument. I can see it says Machu Picchu in the question. Visitantes is visitors. Peruano is Peruvian. Ruinas is your ruins, your plural feminine noun. Restos is like the remains, I want to say. Remains. Tomara is another subjunctive here, just like hiciera. Again, this could be in the I form, but like I or he or she took in the past. Tomara is your imperfect subjunctive, so we've got two imperfect subjunctives. If I put those two in yellow, hiciera and tomara. We've got some other links. We've got, if I highlight, for example, in blue, let's do the verbs themselves. So visitas, esta, es are sort of your conjugated verbs. So is hiciera and so is tomara, your sort of conjugated verbs. We've got some other infinitives as well. So in red there, posar is one of the infinitives. I don't know what that means, but that's, oops. Also an infinitive, and that's three infinitives in total. So now that I've gone through the words, I can look at the text. So Machu Picchu, blah, blah, blah. La ciudad Inca Machu Picchu fue declarada Patrimonio de la Humanidad por la UNESCO in this year. That would be 1983 y something en 2007. So it was declared, and maybe it was declared in 2007 as one of the seven wonders of the world. Is it going to be a verb? Y proclamado. No, so okay, so this one could either be A or H. The reason it can't be A is because the ciudad is feminine. So just like declarada that ends in A, this has to be H. I'm going to lock in H as the answer. If I can let me type nicely like that. H is the answer there. I'm pretty confident on that. It could be sort of between A and H. A makes sense in English. It could be proclaimed as something or like so recognized as something, which is what reconocida is also meaning there. This is a really good trick that AQA does. So, for example, if it was a, then you could say a proclamado. But if we're using fue, it was, then it's the adjective. It has to end in like the correct sort of ending in terms of adjective agreement. If it was, yeah, a proclamado, that would make sense. But because it's fue, it has to end in a because it's the adjective, not the past participle. So there's a difference between past participles and adjectives. Some past participles can act like adjectives, like reconocida, but it's the adjective ending in a. So that's going to be H. I'm happy with that. Okay. Desde entonces no ha parado, it has not stopped receiving visits. So that's where we see no ha parado versus parada. Parado wouldn't make sense. It has to be parado. The past participle always ends in o. Comido, hablado, parado. Even though ciudad is feminine, so that's a good sort of thing to point out there. En 2017, tuvo 1,500,000 de visitantes. That one's quite obvious, I think. Visitantes. There's no other similar word like that, is there? No, visitantes. Pero el sitio arqueológico, the archaeological sites, that makes sense. Y su difícil emplazamiento geográfico, bla, bla, bla. Por ello, la UNESCO amenazó con amenazó, amenazó, so he or she sort of threatened with closure. No, amenazó con Machu Picchu en la lista de lugares patrimonio en riesgo y dio con I don't know this one. Con eliminar, amenazó con incluir. So it wouldn't be eliminate because we're not eliminating Machu Picchu from the list of sort of ones in. It wouldn't be a threat if we're eliminating something from this sort of list of endangered, is what it's saying in risk. Incluir or posar. I'm not sure what posar means here, but I'm going to go for incluir as one of the infinitives. I think it's going to be infinitive there, grammatically speaking. Y dio al gobierno um, un plazo de 2 años para que mejorara la gestión. So like the management, la gestión. Dio al gobierno dio al gobierno peruano, the Peruvian government. That makes sense. Okay, good. I'm just going through the list of words and seeing which one sort of sounds correct or makes sense. That one's used up. B was also used up, incluir. Okay. Y gestión y medidas. Y hiciera medidas como mejorar o could be tomara. So tomara and hiciera grammatically are the same thing. They're both in the imperfect subjunctive. It's just they mean slightly different things. So to take versus to do. I think you're going to say to take tomar medidas versus hacer medidas. Yeah, tomar makes more sense here. Even though in English you can say like to, yeah, in English you'd say to take measures, wouldn't you? So tomar medidas, even though hiciera is quite a similar word there. Tomar medidas para la conversación del monumento. Okay, para alegría de los peruanos, las medidas presentadas fueron suficientes para que el subjunctive here se valorara el esfuerzo y decidiera no incluir las ruinas, a plural feminine noun of visitas, vistas. Vistas, this is visitas, so it's different to vistas. That word there, which would be, so vistas being the views. Las ruinas, I want to say. Ruinas de la ciudadela. I think it just means something similar to city, maybe like a town or a smaller city. Inca en esa lista negra, and like the blacklist, so of the list of doom. Estas nuevas normas entraron en vigor. To entrar en vigor is like to go into force el verano de 2018 y establecen 2 horarios de visitas. Visitas is visit, so vistas is views, visitas is visits. There's not necessarily the verb, it can be the noun there. Visitas, vale, that makes sense. Establecen 2 horarios de, to choose schedules of visits, visitas, that's fine, okay, good. El primero, blah, blah, blah. This is going to be eso esta, I can just see that off the bat. So things are banned, zapatos de tacones, like high heels, instrumentos, blah, blah, blah. Es prohibido, está prohibido. I'm not actually fully sure here, I should know this one. So, I think it's going to be S. Reason being, I'm just thinking this through. So both sound, I'm sure you can say está prohibido sometimes, or like está plus an adjective, like está abierta, you can say that, can't you? Yeah. But earlier on, we see ser with this adjective, ser plus adjective. So because of that, I'm going to think S, but it could be está, because I'm sure, like, for example, if I just think of examples, we see like está abierta, something is open or closed. We wouldn't say está abierto, you say está abierta. I'm not sure here. This is one that I should know, but I don't. I'm sure there's just a grammar rule. I'll maybe put it on the screen if I can explain it. But I'm going to say es totalmente prohibido. It is fully banned. Just guessing, really. But no, because earlier we see fue using ser, so because that is either between ser or estar. I'm going to go with ser. So, y quizás las dos normas más gloriosas y llamativas, sort of like awakening or like bright, llamativas, attention seeking, de todas se prohíbe entrar con palos, selfie sticks y posar desnudo. So because we're seeing se prohíbe plus infinitive here, that's making me think this has to be an infinitive. I mean, we've still got two infinitives left. Posar, I have no idea what posar means, but something like to pose or like to arrive or to come desnudo being naked in Machu Picchu. Not P, that's G, isn't it? I'm going to go with G. Let me rub it out, please. Thank you. I'm going to go with this one for G. Yeah, posar desnudo. It could be estar desnudo, but it would be estar would be the infinitive because entrar is also the infinitive. So se prohíbe something y something. They both have to start with the infinitives there after prohíbe. So posar, eliminar wouldn't make sense. Posar, okay. I'm going to open up the mark scheme for this. I don't have the mark scheme open. And I'm going to mark it, and then we're going to move on. Actually, before I do that, there's also one of these tasks here. So writing out the sort of synonyms. Let's do this one here. It's going to be a bit annoying because it's like pages above and below, but I can't really fix that, can I? No. I can't. Anyway, so ubicación, what word here is ubicación? I guess I'll just highlight it in the text. If we should do it in like pink, a little bit bigger. Ubicación is like the location, is what it means. Ubicación. Emplazamiento is the same as ubicación, I think. I'm just guessing really, but in terms of see the gap fills. So synonym question. So we're looking for a synonym to that noun. Ubicación is a feminine singular noun. We're looking for any singular noun that means placement. Emplazamiento, I think, is the first one there. I'm going to go with emplazamiento. Next, desafío is like challenged. Amenazó, threatened. Challenge means similar things to that one. Again, we're looking for the grammar. It's a preterite verb in the he, she form, so that one makes sense. We're going to go for amenazó as the synonym of desafío, which is like challenge. Peligro, riesgo, en peligro and riesgo, that one's fine. So en peligro there and riesgo there. It would just be the word riesgo itself, not en. As a synonym for that one, protección, protection, conservación, or la gestión. So we're looking for a singular noun here. Protection, protección, protection. Which word here means protection? Conservación versus gestión is like management. I'm gonna go with conservación. Good. And last one, acceder is like to access. Entrar. Entrar, or we're looking for a verb here in the infinitive. Yeah, entrar I'm going to go with. Same as access. Because so in your A-level paper, the synonym question would be a separate question. So you get sort of 5 like this, for example, where we're matching synonyms from the text, but it would be a different, it wouldn't be the same as gap fill, it wouldn't overlap like that. This one does overlap. But yeah, the gap fill and the synonym would be very separate questions in your exam. But because I've already read through the text, I sort of know most of the words anyway. I'm just in my head just knowing them anyway. So I can very quickly match them up. So acceder is entrar, I think. Yeah, to access, to enter. There's no other infinitives that are sort of nearby. That would make sense. No, so those are the answers. I think I'm gonna lock it those in. I've got the tab open now that you can see here with the answers. So this was number 53. If I go down to 53, let's check my answers. So without looking at the other ones, 53 is here. So I guess I can look at both together. Boom. Okay. So let's go through the quickly here. So HMK is correct. BNR PDF PDU, that's not correct. And lastly GF. The answer is F here, not J. How have I messed that up? Let me put it in red here. So this is not J, it's F. F is está. Okay, I'm incorrect here with the S and the está. I'm going to work out exactly the grammar rule for that and put it on screen to explain it to you guys. S and está. Really basic mistake, and you think I would know this, and I should know this. Yeah. Okay, so está prohibido. Interesting. I'm going to search up why exactly that is and make sure it makes sense to me. But this is F, so this is document case 9. But apart from that, it's all correct. So even though words like posar, I didn't know, it is G at the end, isn't it? I got it correct. I'm going to search up what posar means as well, actually. Um, I'll put it on the screen what posar means. Okay. So yeah, that is the only mistake there. Not too bad. And then this one here, if I put it in the text in there. So, emplazamiento, amenazor, riesgo, conservación, and entradas were all correct here on the perfect. So 5 out of 5 there. Okay, good. Let's do one more. So random number generator. Let's do another one. 10. Okay, still from year 12. Let's do number 10. So scrolling up to number 10. Where is 10? 10. Here's 10. Okay. And here's the text. So if I do this, it should let me see both of them together. Perfect. Okay. Let's do 10 then. So same thing as before. Go through the words. So peligro is danger, and we've seen that word earlier today. Armario is the word closet. That's an interesting word here. Closets. Some of you wouldn't know that word actually because it's not a very common word. But armario is closet. Existia is, he, she, it's used to exist. Our imperfect tense puso is the irregular poner, to put. So in this case, so he or she puts. In the present tense, había, it was. In the imperfect tense, incluía, also the imperfect tense, it used to include. Derogada is derogad is an A-level word. Derogad. Um, it's one of those negative words like to demolish or to downfall something. So I'm going to say demolished. It doesn't mean demolish, but it's along those lines. It's an A-level word. I don't know for a fact. Derogad. It's in the textbooks. Estaba. It was. Para is a good one. So for. And we see por. Whenever we see para, we usually say for as well. So por also means for, but they have slightly different meanings. Or uses estableció, he, she, it's established. And this is doing the establishing. Someone established something. Reflejada, reflected. So we see derogada and reflejada as, again, similar words. These two, they're sort of work in pairs. So does por and para. Okay, fuera is your subjunctive. It was in the subjunctive. Transición is the transition between something. It's the noun. Contagiosa, not what I've seen before, but I'm guessing it means contagious. And posterior is like anterior. It's like the is it subsequent or is it past? It's subsequent, isn't it? Subsequent, like the following. Posterior is like the subsequent something. Okay, good. Okay, word. So in 1978, el gobierno de la transición, because 1978 is sort of just after Franco died, so the transition years. Transición, I want to say just off the bat. Yeah, it's a feminine noun, perfect. So transición, I'm doing it right, I guess it's fine. Liderado por Adolfo Suárez from Reforma algunos artículos, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so gays and transsexuals, interesting to spell like that, which is interesting. No eran ni anormales, ni peligrosos sociales, ni delincuentes. Se estableció, so it was established, this is the passive voice would say, I'm pretty sure. It was established the end of the sort of illegality of homosexuality in Spain. So that's going to be estableció, I think. Or se puso fin as well, it could be. Could be se puso fin. And ponerse, I don't know actually. Ponerse, to become. Se puso fin. Se puso fin, I'm going to puso fin, just makes more sense. I've heard that before. To put it into poner fin a. So I think this is still your passive voice, but I've seen before poner fin a, to put it into. So that one's going to be se puso versus se estableció. I believe they're both in the same future tense. They're similar words, but they have slightly different meanings. No obstante, blah, 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 pero sí que abrió la puerta para salir del armario, to leave the closet, salir del armario de la clandestinidad, of like the sort of hiddenness, undergroundness, that noun there. So B is used up and puso is used up, D and also N. Transición, vale. We can skip the sentence if it's not useful, if it doesn't have a gap in it. Se llamaba así porque a verb here. It's going to be a verb. So it was called such or called this because a verb. So fuera, no, it's not going to be subjunctive, is it? Existía la idea, o estableció la idea which are in different tenses. I'm going to go with existía, the imperfect tense. It used to exist, the idea that. And existía here is also the imperfect tense. Um, so I'm going to go with the imperfect tense. So se llamaba así porque existía la idea de blah, blah, blah. Se puede curar, se podía curar, is like to cure. Sirvió para. It served in order to do something. It served for doing something. So para. Sirvió para reprimir dura y sistemáticamente al colectivo LGTB durante décadas, bla, bla, bla. Se puso, supuso, es like suponer, supuso años de encarcelamiento para cualquier persona que it's going to be like a verb here. Sorprendida is your, adjective. So it's going to be like estaba sorprendido. Earlier, I think the capsule before we saw something similar, didn't we? Maybe not. Like for example, like está prohibido is a similar sort of thing. So you've got your verb of estar to be something, so to be surprised. So estaba sorprendida. There's no other sort of similar word. It could be había sorprendida. Había is more saying it was. You wouldn't use it to say. If it was había, it would be your past perfect tense. So for example, había comido, it would have to end in o. So it cannot be había because of that. So yeah, I'm happy with estaba. Estaba sorprendida intentando establecer contacto homosexual o algún local frecuentado por gays o gays y el peligro. El is your masculine, it's like a noun here. El, there's no accent on the e, so it's not saying him. It would be just it's not it's the. El is the. So el, I do not know what destierro means. I'm thinking of the word tierra, which is ground, but that's different to tierra. Destierro, I'm not exactly sure what that word means. Peligro, maybe. What other options do we have? Peligro might be the only masculine noun there. Yeah, peligro, just because that's what it is. Does it make sense in terms of what it's saying? The danger. I'm not sure really, but that's okay. I'm happy to just guess that one for now. In the exam, you'd spend a minute longer. If it's your real exam, you'd really be careful and make sure it makes sense in English in terms of what it's trying to say. You'd guess what this theatre might mean. But I'm happy with that. My gut instinct is saying that's okay. I tend to just use my gut instinct to just whatever comes to mind first. So I'm happy with peligro. En los centros de rehabilitación se encerraban a homosexuales y travestis en aquel momento no usaba, but that's not a word. No existía la palabra transexual. O estableció. So we've used existía earlier, but I'm trying to say here like it did not exist. My first guess was usaba, and that makes sense because this is the imperfect tense. I'm going to say existía. That's going to change earlier on, isn't it? We can't have two of them. Existía o no estableció. En aquel momento. Is that saying the future tense in that moment? You know what? I'm going to change my mind. Because of that en aquel momento, and does see here make sense? Am I happy with leaving it here? Se llamaba así porque existía la idea. Yeah, because of llamaba there. I'm going to actually change this to estableció. I think en aquel momento trying to say that you're trying to use a future tense in that specific moment. No estableció, the word was not established. But estableció is saying he, she, it's established. And we're saying it was established. So I'm actually not going to say that. Now I'm going to go back again to existía. No existía la palabra transexual. Do I change this up here? I don't know. Let's continue for a second and go to the final two. La mentalidad del régimen, talking about Franco here, reflejada en esta ley, maybe. Mentalidad is a feminine noun, so we can use the adjective reflejada or derogada. But I think that's got more of a negative meaning, but we want to say reflejada en esta ley. Yeah. En esta ley trataba a la homosexualidad como una enfermedad contagious, P, and enfermedad is a feminine noun, una enfermedad, this ends in A, so I'm happy to guess P. Okay. The only one we've got a bit of difficulty with is our C. Ooh, what would I do? What would I do? I'm thinking of getting rid of the first C and putting K into it, but also it's rare for them to use like both words. So, for example, por and para, we're only going to use one of those, not both. So, existía and estableció, if they are meant to be a pair, if they're meant to be sort of similar words, which I think they are, you wouldn't use both of them. Am I missing like fuera? Is there any subjunctive in here that I've missed? Hopefully not. Estaba and fuera are sort of similar words in the past, but one's in the subjunctive, but they're also different verbs, ser versus estar. Hopefully I haven't missed a subjunctive. Would this be subjunctive? Para cualquier persona que... Hopefully not. Fuera sorprendida. This goes back to sort of ser versus estar, and I guess the subjunctive and not subjunctive. This might be M actually. I'm not sure. Originally, I didn't think it was, but because of we haven't used fuera as a subjunctive yet, there's the only subjunctive word in here. Había, I'm just jumping back. Había la idea. Había and existía are similar words, aren't they? Why have I skipped había? Se llamaba así porque había la idea. Ooh, so this is really interesting actually. C and E both mean the same thing. They're interchangeable, aren't they? So I could say no existía la palabra transexual or no había. I'm going to say había for now, but I think they're similar things. Anyway, I don't want to spend too long on this. Those are my answers. I probably got at least one of them incorrect. But let's do the next one as well. So the synonym question here. So we've got 5 words here. Forma de pensar. Let's go backwards then. Forma de pensar was the way of thinking. Mentalidad. Yep, that one's fine. So mentalidad is forma de pensar. A good thing to point here. Forma de pensar is 3 words. Mentalidad is 1 word. That's okay. Forma de pensar is a noun. As long as you've got the full noun, it doesn't have to be the same amount of words for the synonym. So that one's I'm happy with that. Curas is your cures. Curas is cures. So looking for a word sort of behind the pink word mentalidad, that is a plural feminine noun. It doesn't have to be feminine, it has to be plural noun actually. What plural nouns do we have? Centros. These 2 words here, which I don't know what they mean. Psiquiatras. It's like something to do with like psychiatry something. Let's skip that one for a second. Visitado is visited. That one should be okay. Visitado. Is this number 10? Yeah, it is. Visitado. Visitado, visited. Why am I not seeing a similar word to visited? I'm not seeing anything actually. It's a little bit trickier. Aprobada. But that's like approved or like, yeah, passed. No, I'm not seeing that one. Valio is like valer to cost. Valio like it was worth something. Valio. Um. Oh, okay. Let's do valio. So, valio la puerta or abrio. Abrio is different to valio. I think they're not quite the same thing, are they? Um. Valio. I want to say fue derogada as no, because you can say esta ley no valió completamente or no fue derogada completamente. So what I'm doing there, a good tip as well. For example, valió in the list, put it into the text. So actually say its sentence, esta ley no valió completamente, and that makes sense to me. So I'm happy to do that. Is valió. Cambiaba reformo, but that's in different tenses. Cambiaba is the imperfect tense. So you would have to be the imperfect tense, I think. But I'm not seeing anything. I'm going to say reformo because I think that's what they're trying to put you in. But as far as I know, it would have to be in your exam. It's going to be the same tense. Not doing too well on this, am I? Okay, I'm going to pick that one just to be quick. And then visitado, I haven't done. Ocuras. Okay, visitado. Aprobada. Um, gonna be before this end sentence, I think. It's yeah. I'm gonna guess. It could be one of those phrases. This is a little bit tricky, actually. It could be something to do with sorprendida, intentando establecer contacto. Que am I happy with H? Que estaba sorprendida, intentando establecer contacto homosexual. Where can I put visitado in there? I'm not too sure. Um, frecuentado. Why have I missed that one? Frecuentado. Yeah, to frequent something is like to visit. That one, I'm happy with that. Okay, fine. I completely missed that word. Visitado and curas lostly, which means it has to be after this. So we see curarlos, but that's the verb, and then the noun is different there. Centros de rehabilitación, it's a plural noun like curas, but you wouldn't say en los curas or en curas. I can't see what bit you're meant to swap out there. So it's one of these two words here. I think I'm gonna just guess how do I say that? Psiquiatras. How do you say that? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna just guess those answers. Not doing too well here, but let's see how I did, and let's see if there's anything we can learn for you guys in the future or for myself in the future. So this is the year 12 booklet. So number 10 in here. I'm gonna zoom out and just swing all the way there. 10 is here. So sister, I didn't see that one. Anyway, so NDB, NDB, CJ, FJ, MQ. I'm not doing very good, am I? CP, CLP. I'm not doing very good at all. This is embarrassing. Okay, which ones have I got wrong? So let's see why. F and J, C is correct. This needs to be F. H there is incorrect. M, fuera, I thought so. I thought so. A, Q, and C. Have I got both of those incorrect? And then the last ones are okay. So Q, A, peligro, and Q is posterior. Okay. El posterior, because destierro is a noun. We wouldn't have two nouns together. Why did I say peligro? It should be an adjective. That makes more sense. El posterior destierro is some sort of noun. I don't know what it means. But you wouldn't have two nouns together anyway. So you're saying the old something, or like the in this case, posterior is like a future thing. So the subsequent something. Oh, that's a silly one. And C and E, existía and había. Okay, F. This one's F up here, isn't it? Incluía. Okay. Okay, so C and E were the two words that are similar. Why couldn't you say había? I'm gonna see if I can work that one out. I don't know why you couldn't say. Había would make sense. It's the imperfect tense. There was not this word. No había la palabra. But anyway, that one's existía. Interesting to know. I wonder if you guys, if you did this yourself, if you did any better than me. Okay, and then so this one here, F was F, wasn't it? Yeah. F is, we said, incluía. So I should have read that sentence before. That maybe would have helped me. So saying the law, I think, included. Se llamaba así porque incluía la idea de. Okay, that one's just a bit silly of me. I'm sorry. Okay, I was correct in terms of the imperfect tense. I was close, but not quite. In the exam, realistically, would I have got that? Maybe not. But this goes to show you could think you're correct, but maybe not. So go back and really double check, look at all of the words. And there's a lot of imperfect ones that are quite similar here that tripped me up. Let's have a look at this one if I did any better on this. So the first one we saw was sister. I didn't say sister, did I? Reformo, no, so it has to be in the correct tense. So sistuia. Where is that word in here? Why can I not see it? Why can't I see that word? I'm going crazy. And the one after was Silvio. Silly me. Where's Silvio in here? Is this the right one? Yeah, am I missing something? Oh, Sister Bear's down here. Okay, it started way later. Okay, this goes to show as well. I've seen this happen sometimes. When you have your synonym question and you'll get some sort of paragraph or text, it won't be a gap fill, it'll be like a normal text. It can start, for example, a lot later down. So I was stuck thinking at the top, trying to work out words at the top, but everything starts a lot later down. So that's just silly of me there. The other one's okay. Frecuentado is okay. And then I do not know what this word means here, but it was this one here instead of that word there. Mentalidad is correct and frecuentado is correct. I'm going to put on the words I didn't know on the screen. Okay, so we've learned that the synonyms can start a lot later down. It doesn't have to be sort of from the top. It doesn't have to take up the full length of text. It can be sort of halfway on, for example, like we saw here. Okay, let's do one more. I'm gonna hope for year 13 one, so that will be after number 68 because this goes up to number 68. Okay, I've checked. I've been going here for 38 minutes, so I'm gonna do one more. I think let's hope for one that's above the number 68. 93, perfect. So this means if I do the maths, 93 minus 68 gives 25. So we have to do number 25 from this year 13 booklet, which is the same thing. So 25 is a little bit here, isn't 25? Is this one here? Oop, here. Also, I haven't mentioned this yet in this video, but this document is a really, really good document, as you've seen both of these. I'll link in the description, I'll put on the screen where I got this from. It's from someone on test, a teacher on test. I recommend if you want to access all of these, that buy it from test, download it from test. It's really worth practicing loads of these. If you want to have like almost 100 of these to practice, there's 68 in the year 12 one and like 71, I think, in the year 13 one. So really good to practice with. So I'll link in the description where you can access these. I have not made these myself, nor are these AQA questions. So hopefully I'm allowed to put these on the internet without AQA getting me in trouble because there's no copyright. It's not made by AQA anyway. Okay, so 25, let's do this one here then. And this maybe will be the last one I do in this video. So mayoría is the majority. Padecieron is a really good word, to suffer. So they suffered. I'm looking if I can see sufrir in there, but I can't. Suffered. Desprecio, I'm guessing is going to be either in the I form of verb, like despreciar to sort of undervalue. But I'm going to guess it's the noun, something about undervaluing, maybe a noun. Heredadas is your inherited. Padecer, okay, to suffer. So we've got the instring, we've got the infinitive and the conjugated verb. Eran, they were. Imponía, he, she, it's imposed or like used to impose. I'm going to put imposed in there. Proclamar, we saw a similar word here earlier. To proclaim, I think, to proclaim. Fueran, like eran. This is your imperfect subjunctive and it means the same thing as era. So they were. It's also using from ser. But the only difference is this, the imperfect subjunctive. Contrario is like on the contrary, on the opposite. Tener is like to have, pretty easy there. Estaba, again, it was similar to sort of eran, similar sort of thing. Eradicar is to eradicate. Establecer, or establecer is he, she, it establishes. Fue, we've got a lot of sort of basic verbs like to have and to be here. Fue is it was in the imperfect, in the present tense, and mayor is main, biggest, mayor. Okay, again, we see a lot of similar words. So mayor and mayoría immediately. Fue, fueran, eran, and estaba all are formed to be, all means so something about to be. And padecer and padecieron, again, similar words, but one is conjugated, one's not. Okay, let's highlight let's highlight the verbs. So padecieron, eran, yeah, oops. Thank you. Imponía, eran, fueran, estaba, establecer, fue are all our conjugated verbs. The other ones are infinitives. If I do infinitives in green, padecer, proclamar, tener, and erradicar. 4 infinitives, a bit more than usual, I think. Okay, let's look at the text. So, La Primera Ley Antirracista en Bolivia. This document splits up into the modules. So if you've done your speaking exam now, but if you're watching this sort of a year in the future, for a speaking exam, it could be useful looking at these texts because they are based on the sort of speaking topics and stuff like that. So this is about racism, module 2 from year 13. Anyway, so Bolivia es el país de América del Sur con mayor porcentaje, but like the biggest percentage, con mayor porcentaje de población indígena, alrededor de 62%. En 2006 se convirtió en la primera nación latinoamericana en tener un presidente indígena, Evo Morales, quien en 2010 aprobó la primera ley antirracista del país para... why is it para in there randomly? Aprobó la primera ley antirracista del país para, según sus palabras, para acabar, vale. Con toda forma de discriminación y frenar was the word to break, a really good word, frenar, to break something, to stop something. Las actitudes antirracistas, not word on here, las actitudes heredadas, inherited. Yeah, I'm going to put inherited there as a feminine adjective, and this is a feminine noun, plural, that makes sense. So the inherited attitudes desde la invasión española, en definitiva, el gran propósito de dicha ley era, the infinitive here, era erradicar, to eradicate discrimination, yeah. Que habían sufrido actos de racismo durante siglos. After al, we often have an infinitive, so I'm just automatically thinking about that. Al, but we've already used two infinitives, so tener and erradicar we've used, also we've used herederas and a mayor. So al, I'm thinking of an infinitive, but al padecer, upon suffering, yeah, because it talks about muchos indígenas are the ones suffering, so upon suffering, from these problems, so illiteracy, lack of access to legal services, many indigenous people suffer, padecieron en silencio, eran en silencio, no, padecieron, I'm going to say. Would it make sense to be in the preterite tense? I'm not sure why it's in the preterite tense. It could be in the present tense. Muchos indígenas padecen. Is there anything in particular why this needs to be in the preterite tense? I guess the sentence after says hubo, so maybe it's just doing it in the past. And earlier we have, for example, durante siglos isn't particularly in the past, but I'm going to put in padecieron. Denunciar is a good verb to report something, los actos discriminatorios contra ellos. No obstante, hubo un sector que se opuso, opposed a la ley, los periodistas. La ley establecer estaba, any of those singular verbs. I'm going to go establecer. So P, la ley establecer. I've used padecieron as well. So la ley established sanctions, economic sanctions, y hasta el retiro, the withdrawal of the license of work of these press people, los medios de comunicación que difundieran, subjunctive, o autorizaran la emisión de las ideas racistas y discriminadoras, aunque los autores de estas ideas, is this one going to be like eran or fueran? The authors of these ideas were the sources. Las fuentes is like the sources, I believe. So, aunque los autores de estas ideas fueran o eran. One's in the imperfect subjunctive, one's not. Does this need the imperfect subjunctive? So earlier we've seen the subjunctive with difundieran. I'm not 100% sure. After que, we often need the subjunctive. So for example, there makes sense, but do we need the subjunctive again? Aunque los autores de esas ideas. I'm going to say, yeah. I'm going to say fueran. So it's, I think it's saying like, although the authors of these ideas might have been the sources, not saying definitely, it's saying a bit of doubt. So might have been, I'm going to go with J, fueran. Hopefully that's correct. Okay, skip the next sentence. Para defender la ley, el presidente Morales, Evo Morales, dijo que la libertad de expresión estaba o fue. Estaba o fue. Back to the same issue from earlier, like es versus está. Estaba o fue. What have I learned from last time? It was está prohibida, wasn't it? So estaba garantizada. Well, fue is a preterite tense. They're different things because they're both in terms of the verb. Fue is from ser, estaba is from estar. They're different verbs. Fue is the preterite tense. Estaba, I'm going to go and put confident estaba there. It was, or like used to be, guaranteed over a longer period of time versus just a singular fue, a singular time. Al no considerar que tal derecho es sinónimo de racismo y añadió que el desprecio. This time it can be an infinitive, not an infinitive, noun. Earlier it was the adjective, but this time it can be the infinitive. El desprecio la humillación, they sound like similar sort of nouns. Y demás delitos de odio que sufren los indígenas deben desaparecer. Okay, I'm happy with this. Do I think I'm going to get full marks? Maybe actually. So I'm going back and checking. So this de la erradic, oh no. If I go back to the top, so it's con mayor porcentaje en tener, frenar las actitudes heredadas o imponía, but imponía would have to be plural, so not imponía, heredadas, desde la blah blah blah, era erradicar al padecer indígenas links with no, yeah, but padecieron I've said. Yeah, okay, I'm happy with that. I'm going to move on to the final, this bit here. So, país is going to be nación, pretty easy. Some of these hopefully would be quite easy in your exam. Nación, off the bat. Detener, frenar. Detener can be like to arrest, detener, or just to like stop. I'm going to guess frenar there. Estuvo en contra, to like disagree. Estuvo en contra. Se opuso. Estuvo is your perfect tense. He, she, in the perfect tense. Se opuso. Now, how much do we need? So, hubo un sector que estuvo en contra a la ley. Would you need the A? Sometimes, especially with the A level year 13 ones are quite tricky. Sometimes you need the A, sometimes you don't. So make sure in your head, you say it like that and you make sure. So, contra de or contra, I'm going to say contra ley. I'm going to include the A here. So specifically those three words in total. Se puso, oops, I can't do this, can I? Se puso la ley, and I'm going to put all three words together. And then what's next? Highlighter. Multas is fine. Sanciones was in the text. I remember. There we go. Perfect. Sanciones. And permitieran. Permitieran is like permitted, and it's in the imperfect subjunctive. Autorizaran, I guess, to like authorize, to permit. Okay, I'm happy with that. Perfect. Yeah, good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's check the answers. This is the year 13 booklet. I need to open that. Give me a second. Okay, I've got the booklet open now. What number was it? I don't even know. 25. Perfect. Let me quickly skip over to 25. Vale. 25. So RLD, RLD, NE, BP, no, B. That one's incorrect. And then JMC. Why is that one correct? Incorrect. So G. La ley. I changed color. Orange. La ley. This is going to be G, which is imponía. And I put establecer. Ooh, interesting. Okay. The difference is the tense. Imponía is the imperfect tense. I should have known that because it's all saying in the past. Saying this law existed in the past, didn't it? Not now. So I should have known that one. Imponía. Fine. Okay, it goes to show, make sure you check properly. I was doing it in a bit of a rush, quickly as I could, even though I've already taken like a long time on these ones. Fine, but the rest of them are correct. Okay, not bad. Hopefully you can see how these questions work. The patterns, we've seen a lot of repeated words, a lot of common things like estar and ser and things like that come up all the time. Por and para are also really common sort of ones in the gap fill. Okay, we also can mark these ones, can't we? So, nación, frenar. I didn't say frenar. Did I say frenar? I did. Opuso, se opuso. They haven't included a here. Maybe you don't need the a. Sanciones and autorizaran. Okay, do you need the a? Estuvo en contra la ley. So that was a sector that was in against, that was estuvo contra a la ley, maybe. Not too sure. I'm gonna guess this answer mark scheme isn't incorrect, so maybe you don't need the a. But in your exam, be really careful. Sometimes you need there and a and n. You need those little sort of prepositions either side. So be really careful that you copy down the enough amount of words. It's not just going to be one word, one word. It might be one word, a phrase, two words, one word. So it's never, the synonyms are never going to be one specific word. It could be like a phrase, a sentence, more than a word. Okay, I'm happy with that. So that's going to be the end of this video. I've been recording for like 50 or so minutes, I think. I'm going to check. Hopefully that was super useful for you. When am I going to be posting this? During middle of half term. So I will have a last minute tips video out before the 3rd of June, on the weekend, sort of before 3rd of June. Best of luck for your paper 1 exam. Also follow me on Instagram at astarspanish. I'm going to be posting some sort of stories and stuff during the exam period. Yeah, best of luck. Adios.